everyone, my name is Michael of Rolling a Double 20, and today we're asking, can you beat Skyrim with only the Frostbite spell? I love simple rule challenges, so grab a coat, cause these puns are gonna be pretty chill. And I think we got hit with a snowball cause we are finally awake. And we move on to character creator. Don't mind the low frame rate, I fixed that after a few recordings. Anyways, I picked a Breton cause I thought their magic resistance would be useful. It was, but only really for mage enemies. Frosty the Snowman nearly ends up losing his head, but after some parkour, we go with Hadvar. Since we don't start with Frostbite, I just grabbed everything I could and sprinted for the exit. My first stop was going to be Riverwood, just in case the general store had the spell I needed. I only made a quick detour to grab the Mage Stone. I sprinted past all the wolves and made it to the general store. And lo and behold, he had it. Oh, thank fuck for that. I did not want to have to go all the way to Whiterun right now. Once Camilla here showed me her Bleak Falls barrels, I actually went back to fight some wolves. And to this mine here. Turns out killing low-level bandits by freezing their balls off is quite easy. Well, except for the women, I froze their flaps off. I did this for two reasons. One, to increase my destruction skill, and get enough stuff to sell so I can really get a good start up. Speaking of leveling up and equipment, I mostly focused on things that either increased my max mana or my mana regen, or things that decreased the cost of my Frostbite. I then headed for Bleak Falls instead of Whiterun, mostly to cut some time off. Hey, Farengar was gonna send me here anyways, might as well do it now. Oh, wait, I forgot to sell my loot from that mine. Damn it. So much for saving time. As for Bleak Falls barrels, well, it wasn't that trying. I didn't let the bandit outlaw die to the trap. As to why? Well, Skyrim levels your destruction based on how much damage you do with it. So the more damage I do, the more I level up. I was pleasantly surprised when I learned Frostbite can destroy spiderwebs. I don't have to break the rules. For now. Speaking of spiders, my Frostbite killed the Frostbite. Yes, that is the lamest joke I could come up with. Arvel the Swift quickly became Arvel the Frozen, as I didn't feel like chasing him down. But moving down, I bumped into my first Draugr. And while they are harder to kill, they aren't immune, which is good, because later we'll find some foes immune to Frostbite. For now, it was time to push on, and play Ring Around the Rosie so my mana can recharge. Just you wait, that's gonna become a recurring theme here. Now, I'm not gonna go over every encounter, as that would make this video well over 6 hours long. But I'll go over how the Draugr Overlord went, considering he's a mini-boss. It went well, until I ran out of mana. Still easy enough. Now that I was done with it, I returned the golden claw for some gold. Ooh, I want this. Jesus, it's fucking expensive though. And then I realized I never talked to Alvor to get the Jarl's protection for Riverwood. On my way to Whiterun, I called off an angry buck. My Breton brethren tried to kill out my kill streak, but he froze up. Thanks to these Khajiit here, I was able to buy the robes I was after earlier. And I rarely took this thing off. Speaking with Bolgruf, he has me go get the Dragonstone that I already grabbed. Which means we can move on to the first dragon fight. With all the Whiterun guards, this wasn't much of a challenge, although they mostly acted as meat shields and picked away at the dragon's health. And just like that, I killed my first dragon. Back in Whiterun, the Greybeards call me up to their living room like dinner is ready. I better head up there before it gets cold. Bolgruf agrees and tells me to start my journey by going to Ivarstead. I did die on my way to Ivarstead, mostly because I chose to explore a cave filled with vampires, who are quite resistant to frost attacks. Oh well, I got a bunny instead, so this run is an official success. No, you will not change my mind. I make it to Ivarstead and immediately start up the 7,000 steps. Now I know what you're going to ask. What about the frost troll blocking the way? Well, he wiped the floor with me, so much so you could say I was trolled to death. I didn't try for a second time. I just ran right past him this time. Maybe if I had a few mana potions, this would be different, but oh well. Meeting Argnir of the Great... Hey, I'm trying to talk to your boss. Sadly though, this is where I fail the challenge, as it is required for you to yell at an old man. I thought this game was supposed to be ice cold, not stone cold. Speaking of failure, I had to fail 3 more times thanks to these trials. This is giving me strong Fallout 3 Rad Roach vibes. No, I won't kick out using World War Sprint as a fail, as it's not an attack. At least I don't think you can use it as one. Ognir that sends me dungeon crawling to find his drinking horn. Yay, more fucking Draugr. At least my Frostbite is doing more damage as I upgraded my destruction. Speaking of, Frostbite battle, baby! He tried to cheat, but I got him to chill. The Necromancers of Ustengrav were in too much trouble as they had none of the natural resistance to frost. And lo and behold, this game loved throwing restless Draugr at me. While the normal ones were easy in terms of difficulty, man, even the restless ones quickly became a chore. You know, using this spell doesn't leave me feeling really cold if it was only a way to warm up. Ow! Not like that! So, something unique did happen in Ustengrav, although this doesn't have anything to do with the Frostbite challenge, so bear with me. See these platforms? You have to use wall run sprint to get into a unique room. And let me tell you, rediscovering this put a genuine smile on my face. Then when I was down with Ustengrav, I had to get the horn from Delphine, and my feeling of joy turned into apathy. Not apathy towards the challenge, more so the story. More on that later. For now, enjoy some B-roll while I discuss what perks helped me out. It should be obvious which destruction spells you should go for in this challenge. Augmented Frost increases your frost damage, and Deep Freeze will paralyze enemies below 10% health. As for non-destruction based perks, well, Alteration and Restoration have some good ones. Mage Armor and the Alteration is really good if you plan on using Oak Flesh and other spells as your main defense. I did this early game, but used it less and less as time went on. But magic resistance could be really useful against mages. But since throughout most of the story you're mostly fighting Draugr, and while they do use magic, they primarily use weapons. If I had more time, I would definitely grind my Alteration up for those perks. And Restoration is damn good for any mage build, let alone a stifled one like this. Recovery alone is worth it. But there's also Regeneration, Respite, and if you're feeling fancy, avoid death. I looked, and both Illusion and Conjuration don't really have anything for a Frostbite mage, sadly. Now back to my journey. Oh look, I chose not to follow Delphine to Kynesgrove. How the fuck did she get here before me? Well, she wants me to prove I'm a Dragonborn. Why not just ask for my mother? Although, how did the Dragonborn's mom... You know, I think it's best if I don't finish that line of thought. Our next mandatory dragon fight is a little harder, but I still have someone as a meat shield, so not by much. Now that she knows we are Dragonborn, she wants our help to investigate the Thalmor. Why does she think the Thalmor has something to do with Return of the Dragons? Is it racism, or does she really think a bunch of arrogant elves can summon dragons? Whatever, we need to do this to progress, so here we go. First I go and give the drinking horn back to Ognir, and for my efforts he gives me the last part of a shout I can't use in this run, making my reward worthless. I went to Whiterun to try to grind up my Alteration and Restoration. It did not go well. I just couldn't find a height that would injure me a lot without killing me, so I eventually gave up on that plan. This was the best spot I found, by the way. Let's skip to the embassy itself. Now, in this corner, the Frostbite spell. And in this corner, it's the Thalmor punk-ass bitches. Let's see who comes out on top. Ooh, those shark attacks sure do drain our hero's mana, which freezes his options, and our hero counters with using mana potions. And through pure irony, he melts through the Thalmor's health bars. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner! Okay, I'm exaggerated for comedic effect, but yeah, so long as I had enough health potions, I didn't really have to worry about dying. The Thalmor wizards were annoying but not impossible, and thanks to a level up, restoring my mana, I was able to kill this frost troll, which was impressive. Back to Delphine, she tells me the next part of our investigation is her old mentor Esbern, and we'll find him in Riften. Of course, a dragon attacks, and after killing it, the guards are too enthralled to open the fucking gate, temporarily self-blocking me. My inability to pass a simple speech check means I had to help this man frame some poor bastard. Should have just went through the Ratway and skipped this part. Speaking of combat in the Ratway, it involved a lot of waiting around for my mana to recharge, because I keep forgetting to buy mana potions. The Thalmor, like before, were easy enough. Now, I would say me and Esbern had an epic fight, but no. Somehow, Esbern got up to the top floor and killed them all before I could make it back up there. I am legit still baffled by this.
Yes, well, this changes everything, of course. I know I have. Give me.
After that, our job is to go to Kartspire and find a way to Skyhaven Temple. After a brief detour to Whiterun for some essentials, I went off to Markot so I can head to Kartspire. I died because a dragon got in between me and the Thalmor. Next time, a dragon interrupted me and this lone wanderer. I eventually just left the dragon to eat those Khajiit and wander. Well, I tried to, but the blood dragon followed me. Oh well, I can use it as a distraction to pick off this Forsworn. Did Delphine just fucking teleport? Only the Sijic monks have that magic. We find a haven in the sky and Alduin Walls puts us on another chase for a shout to defeat Alduin. And who knows more about shouts than the Greybeards? Well, it turns out they don't know the shout, but their boss, Parthenax, might. So they teach me how to depart the clouds, which would be useful after any weed session. Now, clear skies is required, and I'll show you why. And it is also not an attack, as it cannot damage enemies. Or so I think. Hold on. Okay, it can stagger, but that's about it. And this was the first time I met an opponent totally immune to Frostbite. And to no one's surprise, it was an Ice Wraith. Running past them, I do make it to Parthenax. Unfortunately, Parthenax has me fail the run again, and that is required for you to roast him with a shout. Yo, Parthenax, your mama's so ugly Akatosh had to make you by himself.
Yes.
Yeah, I failed again. Parthenax tells us we need to read an Elder Scroll, title drop at a time wound, and rewatch history, and from there we'll learn the shout we need. Now I know this next bit has nothing to do with the journey, or the Frostbite spell, but if you ask Parthenax while Alduin wants to destroy the world, or eats it, as he puts it, Parthenax tells you it's because Alduin is a spoiled brat and is mad that he isn't Daddy's favorite child anymore. Ognir points me to the college in Winterhold, where there's a mugging attempt. I take a break to notice this unique recording glitch. Then an orc points me towards Septimus. And yes, I meant to do that. Septimus points me to a Dwemer ruin. A saber cat turned me into a ball of intestinal yarn. Twice. But I did make it to Often. Now the next question is, how was fighting the dwarven machines like? Yeah, I initially tried getting Jadar's help, but fuck this. The Falmor had a problem with me dropping in, but I took care of them. Killing Uma here did make me feel better about running away like a little bitch. Up next was to go through this door to Blackreach. Yeah, I mostly ran right through, only stopped to kill a Falmor giving me chase. I make it to the Elder Scrolls room, being guarded by some buttons. Anyways, I grabbed the senile scribbles and brought them to a wibbly wobbly and watched a pass. Which it leads me to learning Dragon Riding and triggering the first Alduin fight. Here, Dragon Rend is kind of necessary, as Alduin is too far up to hit. But also, Dragon Rend does no damage, so it's more of a tool than a weapon. Though most of the fight I couldn't fucking see anything, and just had to rely on the UI. Took a while and most of my healing potions, but I did defeat Alduin. Turns out the only way to kill Alduin permanently is to go to North Heaven and kill him there. To that end, we must capture a dragon. Turns out, Jarl Bolgrif is willing to help only if there is a truce between the Stormcloaks and the Imperials. I do not want to sit at the Peace Council. Instead, I joined the Imperial Legion and proved my loyalty by clearing a bandit-held fort. Not gonna show them all, but I died many times in this fort. So many times that my main strategy became run in, hit them, then run out to heal. This got so annoying, I made sure to steal all their cheese wheels. Through pure grit and determination, I was able to clear out the bandits. Fun fact, this took me twice as long as both Alduin fights, combined. So doing any Civil War questline involves a small quest, then attacking a fort. But that's after the Jagged Crown. As you can see, it was no trouble, especially with all these meat shields in the way. As for the forts, well, if you can tell me which 4 forts that these are, clearly you've done some dark magic. On the positive note, doing things this way levels up my destruction, more so than the counter route. During my fort clearing, I met the seducers. I even tried on their armor. Even while editing this footage, I am giggling at how stupid this fucking looks. With an outfit like that, you won't need frostbite magic to freeze someone's nipples off. Still, I carried on to the Civil War. And as for Ulfric, well, he went out like the Thalmor. A punk-ass bitch. Well, with Ulfric dead, the Civil War is over, and I don't have to sit at the Peace Council. Yippee! The 2-hour Civil War is over, which means it's time to get Bolgruf to help me trap a dragon. And I forgot to grab the dragon's name from Esbern. Here. Oops. And for some reason, Hadvar kept following me around for a bit. This isn't turning into an adoring fan situation, is it? Dragon's name's gotten. There was a thief bullied back into oblivion. Not the remastered version. Potions bought. A dragon had a weird nosedive in Riverwood. Upgraded my frost effect with deep freeze. And with everything ready, I called Oldeving. Trapping him was... Hold on, wait, I'm gonna wait till he gets unstuck.
That was easy.
Now it's time for the final dungeon, Skull Dolphin. With my deep freeze, the Draugr were not really a threat. The dragons were, however. Case in point, I actually had to reload a save, not because I died, but because I forgot to hit record. So I reloaded the start of Skull Dolphin. Still, I managed to defeat this dragon for a second time, because my first time wasn't recorded. And this was the hardest dragon fight all run. Even harder than the Alduin fights. Both of them. Boy, am I glad I got the deep freeze. That shit can be OP. It makes these Draugr wights look like little bitches. Especially this one that was blind as a bat. I could avoid that damage inside Skull Dolphin by dodging and weaving. I was a little surprised that a spider killed me. I did kill it next time. Don't know why it was easier this time though. After I triggered a fire trap, I was curious if Frostbite would get rid of the fire. You can be the judge of the results. I have no idea why, but the Dragon Priest was already injured. But I did choose to fight him. And what a wizard battle it was. Still got him under 2 minutes, which was a little bit of an anti-climax. Kind of a shame this helmet is so good, cause we're almost done. Wasn't hard freezing Soon's tits off, for obvious reasons. With these three, the second Alduin fight starts, with us yelling at clouds. Bethesda really thought shouting at clouds was going to make this an epic moment. Still, I couldn't reach Alduin, just like before, so I had to use Dragon Friend. Again, I call it a tool, and with one final Frostbite, we coldly end the reign of Alduin, one of the worst spoiled brats in fiction. Soon then repeats himself.
This was a mighty deed. The doom of Alduin encompassed at last. This was a mighty deed.
And sends me to Parthenax, who basically says, I am king of the dragons, and dips. And with that, the run is over. Can you beat Skyrim with only Frostbite? No, you still have to shout at the Greybeards. Too bad we never had to shout at the devil. Was it fun? Yeah, it could be. What would I do differently? Well, if I had time, I would probably just grind up a bit more, to be honest. But I didn't have time to do that. I have been your host, Michael of Rolling a Double 20, and thank you for watching.